They had informed her the service was strictly for relatives, until a young serviceman came forward and disclosed the real story. The morning was subdued and overcast in Mobile, Alabama, one of those days when the atmosphere felt thick and voices remained hushed. Outside the aging white chapel on Dauphin Street, rows of dark vehicles lined the roadside while flags remained lowered, scarcely stirring. Small groups of people dressed in somber colors stood quietly, gathered to remember Sergeant Michael Landry, who had lost his life during a mission in Iraq 3 weeks prior. An elderly lady approached the church entrance, moving with measured, deliberate steps. She was Evelyn May Carter, 76 years old, wrapped in a simple, well-worn dark coat. In her hand she carried a single white rose. She hadn't anticipated a warm reception, but she hadn't expected to be prevented from entering either. Before she could reach the staircase, a man in a sharp navy suit blocked her way. His mustache was precisely groomed, his reflective sunglasses concealing his eyes. "Ma'am," he stated firmly, "the family asked for a closed service." Evelyn paused. "Closed?" He nodded. "Immediate family only." She looked beyond him, toward the open church doorway. She could glimpse a portion of the flag covering the coffin, the attendants, the meticulously placed floral arrangements. "I was important to Michael," she said quietly. "I'm sorry, ma'am. The instructions are explicit. Family only." There it was again, family. Evelyn didn't protest. She simply gripped the rose more firmly, pressed her lips together, and turned to leave. Behind her composed demeanor, something delicate seemed to crumble inside. Nobody intervened. Some whispered. Most avoided making eye contact. She reached the street corner, her legs unsteady. A woman wearing dark lenses murmured to her companion, "Who was that?" "No clue. Probably disoriented." Evelyn heard them but continued walking. She wasn't disoriented. She was invisible. She had resided in this town for over 50 years. More than 4 decades in the same modest apartment on Jefferson Street. 20 of those years spent assisting in raising children who weren't biologically hers while working night shifts at the medical center. Michael wasn't simply the youngster next door. He was her own, not by genetics, but by every meaningful measure. She had comforted him when his father passed. Provided him meals. Guided him. Mentored him. No biological test could quantify that connection. But to the man at the entrance, she was merely an older woman without the appropriate surname. As she departed, a young serviceman near the rear recognized her distinctive walk. Private Deshaun Briggs had only encountered Sergeant Landry briefly. The man had preserved his life during an operation. He didn't know much about Michael's relatives. But he immediately recognized Evelyn's gait. Miss Evelyn. She had supervised him as a child when his mother worked extended shifts. Fed him, gently corrected him, assisted with his reading lessons. She had always spoken of Michael with tremendous pride. And now she was departing the funeral like an uninvited guest. Deshaun moved through the gathering. "Miss Evelyn!" he called out. She turned, and her expression softened with recognition. "Deshaun?" "Yes, ma'am." He glanced toward the church. "Did they tell you to go?" "They said it was for family only," she responded softly. Deshaun's jaw tightened. Then he offered his arm. "You're returning with me. You helped raise that man. If they don't understand that, they're going to learn." She hesitated only briefly before accepting his arm. Together they walked back toward the church. An attendant moved to intercept them, but Deshaun raised his hand. "She has every right to be here," he declared. "More than many of us." People turned. Whispers circulated. For the first time, the crowd genuinely noticed her. "You may not know this woman," Deshaun said, his voice unwavering. "But without her, I wouldn't be standing here today. And neither would Michael." Michael's mother turned, her eyes puffy from crying. "Miss Evelyn?" she whispered. Evelyn nodded. "It's me, Liana." Understanding washed across Liana's face, memories returning instantly. She stood unsteadily and reached for Evelyn's hand. "Please sit with me." For a moment Evelyn simply looked at her, at the woman she had supported through years of difficulty. Then she nodded and proceeded to the front row, seating herself beside her. The church fell into a profound quiet, as though everyone present comprehended that something deeply significant had just transpired. Minutes earlier she had been turned away. Now she sat beside Michael's mother, precisely where she was meant to be.